What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I am Jay. This is Jay's Life Out Loud, a channel about nothing, but it's about something. What's on my mind today? Difficult conversations. I know a lot of us pride ourselves on being able to communicate, being able to keep it real and say how we feel, and we don't take no bullshit and this, and that. But when it comes to people you love or certain situations, a lot of times we don't want to be confrontational in those situations. Other situations where somebody piss you off, or you run into somebody out and about and they say something the wrong way, look at you the wrong way, you are willing and able to go all out to prove that you ain't no punk. A lot of times if somebody cuts you off or jumps in front of you, or they driving too slow, you are quick to anger and show your frustration. Let it be a middle finger or cussing out the window, but when it comes to those touchy situations with family, those conversations that really need to be had, but we run from them. We don't really want the confrontation. We don't want to know what's going to come behind what we just talked about, or the situation at hand. And a lot of times we run from those deep conversations. You may have situations at work where it puts you in a spot where you can't really say nothing because maybe it's not against the rules what's going on, or maybe you feel like there's going to be some type of repercussion, or you'll start to get unfair treatment for speaking out. These conversations are not easy to have. You can see the person every day. You can love the person. But if you had that conversation, it can go left or right. It can explode in your face. It can send that relationship between y'all to a weird place, or let alone break that bond or separate y'all from just a conversation. You think how many times in your life that you've stopped talking to somebody, or they've stopped talking to you, or both of y'all stopped talking to each other, and you find that it may be a year, 2 years later. Sometimes people go 20 years without speaking, and when they finally come together, they'll find that it wasn't what they thought it was. Or the person said, no, I didn't mean like that. I didn't tell them that like that. I told them A, B, and C. And then you like, damn, that ain't the way they told me. They told me like you was, being disrespectful. Oh no, I didn't say it like that. Did they tell you this part? When I said this and I said that. And then somebody could even say, why I text this? No, that's not what I meant, because a lot of us, we take feelings and put them on text because we imagine what the person is saying through the text, through our interpretation of how we feel they were talking, or how we feel they meant it, or what tone they, in your mind, your imagination, what tone they have. And it can be a falling out over. and then a person talk to you face to face, you find that it wasn't nowhere near close of what your imagination made it out to be. Because I mean, if you keep it real, most of us imagine the worst. Most of us in our lives, we always think of what's the worst that could happen, not thinking what's the best thing could come out of this. You can have, I give you an example. I haven't talked to my son in probably almost a year. Reached out a couple of times, but no response. I'll check through his brother and sister, make sure he all right. But in the times that me and him were around each other, neither one of us wanted to say right and being right then and there, like, let's have a talk. Let's figure out what's wrong. Let's figure out, where's the miscommunication? Are you holding something against me that you're not saying? What is it that we need to talk about? Maybe we can come to some kind of understanding, mutual agreement. Um, a lot of times it can be tough situations, with parents. Uh, you have a child, boy or girl, they're getting of age, they got a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you are at a point where you don't know when is appropriate time to have that sex talk about, whether it's the boys wrap it up or the females, or wrap it up or wait. You have a female, you have a girl, you may, maybe time to put her on them pills or have that conversation. Wait until you're married. But we all know how teenagers are. Those are difficult conversations. Uh, Around the time that my daughter was graduating, me and her had some issues, you know, and I ended up missing her graduation due to the fact that we were in a place where we weren't, let's say, properly communicating or addressing the issues. And it's not always easy when you love someone. Uh, you know, you don't want to hurt their feelings, and you don't want them to hurt yours. So a lot of times we walk around uh, on thin ice, and to be honest, when you have those difficult conversations, you can kill a lot of the drama. You can kill a lot of the if, ands, whats, maybes, or really find out where a person's mind is at, because you may be thinking one thing and they totally thinking something opposite. They not even on that shit you on. But a lot of times these difficult uh, conversations need to be had. Some of us, we don't get me wrong. There are people out here that love confrontation. They love it, but confrontation, uh, if you having it all the time, sometimes that says something about you. This is bothering you, that is bothering you, this is bothering you, that is bothering you. But I'm finding as I get older that, these conversations really need to happen. Sometimes you don't know how to have them. Okay, say you got a supervisor, and that supervisor is doing things that uh, make you uncomfortable in the workplace. For women, it may be uh, inappropriate comments, a hand on the shoulder that stay there too long. Um, for let's say a black man, it could be that he watches the black employees every move and don't say nothing to the white employees. It could be that you feel like he is unstable, but you feel like in all these situations, a man or a woman, you feel like if I go to upper management or if I go to HR, they're going to have to say who told or who said something or who you made uncomfortable or who thinks you're racist or whatever. So now you thinking if I do that, what's the retaliation? Is my workload gonna change? Are you gonna start doing weird stuff to make me suffer for reporting you? But yet and still these conversations need to be had. But they're not always easy. And I'm finding myself in a position where I just step back from it. When I know I need to communicate, sit and talk about it. Like I said, if I'm riding down the street, somebody cut me off, I had no problem with communicating how I feel. If you run up on me, I'm gonna have no problem communicating how I feel, verbally or physically. Uh, if you come at me on social media, you know, it's child play to me, but the back and forth, I have no problem with that. But then there are situations where also I've seen in my life that people will think that they know you. And when they think that they know you, they believe that they can say whatever they want, how they want it, and it's supposed to fly. But they don't really know you. They think they know you. They think they know the whole realm of who you are and what you're about, and they don't. And a lot of times, I'll nip that in the bud right away. Uh, and then sometimes it's an odd situation where you don't want to just flip out. You know what I'm saying? You try to get a person the benefit of the doubt. And we all know, about giving people the benefit of the doubt. But I think that having those conversations, especially with your loved ones, um, is really important. Really important. I see people that family members that have hurt each other deep. I mean, deep, treacherous type stuff. And you'll see them around each other. You'll see them at family functions, and they still speak to each other, but they have never yet come to the point where they sit down and come to some type of not reconcile it, but sitting and really talking about it and hashing it out. Because if the one person is hurt, they're holding that hurt. And they've never given themselves enough time to really tell that person, like, when you did that, this blah, 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 that made me feel this way. It took me such years to get over that and blah, blah, blah. I forgive you. I ain't holding them, but it's just, you was wrong and blah, blah, blah. They haven't had that opportunity. And maybe the person that committed the wrong hasn't had the opportunity to really apologize or tell they part of the story on why they did what they did. But a lot of times we are scared to have these conversations. There are people that have been sexually abused by family members, friends, neighbors, teachers, coaches, and due to the fact of what they believe is going to come out of them telling their truth, they don't want to have uh, those type of serious uh, conversations. I've seen grown men older than me that were abused uh, in certain situations, and it messed their whole life up. Because in order to cope with what happened to them, they used a coping mechanism. And you know, most people, the easiest thing to do is liquor or alcohol. I mean, alcohol or drugs. It's not a lot of easy ways out of talking about difficult situations, or situations that you know, once you open your mouth or you open that can of worms, it's going to be everywhere and there's no control over it. Whether it's at your job, your home, family members, it's not easy. It's not easy. But I tell you this, if you can save a relationship of when it comes to someone that you love or care about by having a deep conversation or conversating about what's going on, I would say do it. Because a lot of times we can put ourselves in a situation where we don't talk to somebody for years, you know. And I'm not saying that having that conversation means that you have to forgive them and y'all start hanging out and y'all become buddy. But what I'm saying is, at least you'll have that clarity of confronting it and getting it over with, or even getting it off your chest. You know, I'm a type of person that's drama free. I don't like a lot of drama, but I tell you this much. I will cut you off. I will cut you off. I'm not going to sit there and argue with you. I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to, you know. But I will cut you off. If I feel that you don't reflect what I'm giving you, or you don't reflect the love that I'm showing you, I just cut it off. Because life is too short to be continually beat across the head and shown that you're not respected, or you're not loved, or I don't care about you, or you know, your opinion means nothing to me. Or the effort that you put forward for me, I will never do for you unless it's convenient for me or is beneficial to me. And that's the way a lot of people are. But for one of those loved ones that you miss and you care about, and maybe it's a misunderstanding, or he say, she say, have that conversation. Peace. Love y'all.